My name is Marissa Cole, and I'm 35 years old. For a long time, I thought that loving someone meant automatically loving everything that came attached to them: their habits, their history, their family, especially their family. My boyfriend, Daniel, is 33. We've been together for 5 years, living together for 4. When we first moved into our place, people used to tell me how lucky I was. "He's such a family man," they'd say. "You're not just getting a boyfriend, you're getting a whole village." Back then, that sounded like a blessing. I didn't realize it was actually a warning. From the beginning, Daniel's family was involved. Really involved. The kind of involved where his mom had a key to our place, just in case, and used it like it was her own front door. I'd come home from work and find her rearranging my kitchen cabinets because this setup makes more sense. His brother Jason treated our garage like his personal storage unit. Old tools, boxes of who knows what, a broken motorcycle he was definitely going to fix up and sell. His sister Brianna would show up with the kids and stay until late, dropping hints about how small their apartment was or how expensive everything had gotten. At first, I thought it was sweet. Big, close-knit family, loud Sunday dinners, group chats, the kind of thing I'd envied growing up, because my own family was distant, polite, but distant. No surprise visits, no borrowed tools, no late-night drop-by to talk. So yeah, in the beginning, I told myself this was what real connection looked like. It took me about a year to realize that always there for each other in Daniel's family actually meant always there to take. It started small. Jason needed $3,000 for a business opportunity that was too good to pass up, a friend of a friend, some kind of import thing. He just needed help with the initial buy-in and promised he'd pay us back in 3 months, 6 at most. That business never materialized. Then Brianna needed help with rent. "Just this once," she said, eyes shining with forced humility. That once turned into 4 months of me transferring money while she complained about how daycare costs were draining them. Daniel's parents needed a new AC unit. Somehow, that became our responsibility. "They're getting older," he said. "You know my dad's back isn't great. They can't handle a big expense right now." Always an emergency, always urgent, always my wallet. Daniel and I kept separate accounts, but I earned more, so I covered the difference. At first, I didn't mind. That's what partners do, right? You help each other. You help the people they love. But eventually, I realized we weren't helping people through a rough patch. We were plugging holes in a sinking ship while they drilled new ones. Every time I pushed back, even a little, it was the same script. Their family. "You don't understand. We've always been like this." "It's just money, Marissa. We'll be okay." Their family being like that was supposed to explain everything. Like being related gave them unlimited access to my income and my time. But I'm not here to talk about every bailout. I'm here to talk about my birthday trip. We'd planned this coast vacation for months. A nice hotel with an ocean view, already paid for. Time off approved. For once, nothing was about anyone else's crises or emergencies. It was supposed to be about us. I was actually excited. That should have been my first clue something would go wrong. The morning. Everything changed. Daniel was in the kitchen making eggs, and I was grinding coffee beans, half listening to whatever podcast was playing on my phone. His phone rang. I saw his mom's name flash on the screen. He answered, cheerful, "Hey, Mom, what's up?" I didn't pay much attention at first. Mom calls happen. I poured water into the French press, the smell of coffee filling the room. Then I heard his tone shift. Serious. Soft. "Yeah, right, okay, calm down. We'll figure it out." That phrase, "we'll figure it out," had become my least favorite sentence in the English language. I turned slightly, listening now. "What happened?" he asked. Pause. $8,000? For what? Longer pause. And then, clear as day, I heard him say, "No, it's okay. Of course we'll help. I'll cancel our trip." I set the kettle down harder than I meant to. Hot water splashed onto the counter. "Excuse me," I said. Daniel covered the bottom of the phone with his hand and gave me a tight look. "It's Jason," he hissed. "He needs someone to co-sign a loan. 8,000. He's in a bind." I stared at him. "And your first thought was, cancel our trip?" His eyes flashed with irritation, like I was the one being unreasonable. "My mom is panicking, Riss. He needs help now. We can reschedule the trip." I felt something sharp and cold slide into my chest. "We're not canceling," I said. Quiet. Clear. He blinked. "What?" "We're not canceling," I repeated. "And we're not co-signing anything. Jason needs a co-signer for a loan he'll default on. That's not our problem." Daniel's face did this thing I'd seen before, but never really acknowledged. A kind of stunned disbelief, like I had just questioned gravity itself. "He's my brother," Daniel said. "And I'm your girlfriend," I replied, "the one who's been paying for everyone's emergencies. When does that matter?" He turned a little away from me, his hand still over the receiver. "We're helping him," he insisted. "The trip can wait." "No," I said. He actually looked shocked. "What do you mean, no?" "I mean, no," I said, my voice steady in a way that surprised even me. "I'm done funding your family's disasters. I'm done canceling my life every time someone calls crying." Daniel took his hand off the phone. "Mom, I'll call you back," he muttered, then hung up without waiting for a reply. He turned to me like I'd just announced I was moving to another planet. "Why are you being like this?" he demanded. "It's Jason. He's my brother." "And I'm supposed to what?" I shot back. "Just keep opening my wallet and rearranging my life because he can't get it together?" "That's not fair." "You're right," I said. "What's not fair is me being an ATM for people who've never paid back a single dollar. What's not fair is canceling our plans every time someone in your family snaps their fingers." Daniel's jaw clenched. His next words came out like a verdict. "My family always comes first," he said. "That's just how it is. You come second. You knew this when you got with me." Silence. It was like the air got sucked out of the room. "Say that again," I said quietly. He straightened, doubling down. "My family comes first. You're second. That's just reality. Family is forever." He didn't finish the sentence, but he didn't need to. I heard the unspoken part loud and clear. "You are not." Something in me snapped. Not with a scream, not with a dramatic scene, just a clean, quiet break. "Good to know," I said. Relief flickered across his face, like he thought I'd backed down. "So, you understand? We'll help him, and we can—" "No," I interrupted. "I meant thank you for the clarity." I wiped the water off the counter, rinsed my hand under the tap, and walked out of the kitchen. "Where are you going?" he called after me. "To pack for my birthday trip," I said over my shoulder. "You can stay here and help your family. I'm going." He followed me down the hallway. "You can't just go without me." "Sure I can," I said, pulling my suitcase from the closet. "You made your choice. I'm making mine." He sputtered something about me being unreasonable, about me not understanding what it means to be part of a family, about me being selfish. I just kept folding clothes, placing them neatly in my suitcase. In the end, I took the trip solo. I even invited a friend from work to join me for a couple of days. We walked along the beach, ate good food, sat on the balcony at night listening to the waves. I posted pictures. Sunlight, ocean, cocktails with little umbrellas. Daniel called me, a lot. I let most of the calls go to voicemail. When I got back, I'd made some decisions. We had always technically kept separate accounts, but the reality was that I had been covering about 70% of our shared expenses because I earned more and because he always had some new family emergency draining his funds. That changed. I sat down with a calculator and went through every bill. Mortgage, utilities, internet, groceries. I figured out exactly 50% of everything and set up my auto payments accordingly. That was what I would cover, not a penny more. I also opened a new checking account and rerouted my direct deposit. The card Daniel used for his family's incidents, the one where I'd added him as an authorized user years ago, I removed him. He noticed pretty fast. He came into my home office, well, what used to be the spare room, holding his phone like it had personally insulted him. "My card doesn't work," he snapped. "What the hell?" "Correct," I said. "I canceled it." "You can't just cancel my card." "It wasn't your card," I replied calmly. "It was mine. You were an authorized user. Past tense." His face flushed red. "How am I supposed to pay for things?" "With your money," I said, "like an adult." "This is insane," he said. "We're a couple." "We are," I said, "and according to you, I'm second place, so I'm treating this relationship accordingly. You handle your priorities. I'll handle mine." I watched the realization flicker across his face, the first tiny crack in his certainty that I would always bend, always pay, always be there. He stormed out of the room, muttering something about me needing help. I looked around the space I'd just claimed for myself. His old boxes and his sister's random holiday decorations were in the garage now, neatly stacked and labeled. In their place, a desk, my laptop, a plant by the window. My space, my life. We barely spoke for a while after that. I started doing my own thing. Signed up for a woodworking class at the community center, joined a weekend softball league, made plans that didn't revolve around his family. His family's weekly Sunday dinners? I stopped going. Every week he'd ask, "You're coming, right?" "No," I'd say. "I've got plans." "What plans?" "Plans, Daniel." It drove him crazy. He was used to me being available, being the one who showed up, smiled, and paid for things. I thought the silent war over money and time was the main battle. I was wrong. The real emergency, the one that would light their lives on fire and finally burn my guilt to ash, hadn't even started yet. Tension settled into the apartment like a low hum after that. Not loud enough to be a fight, not quiet enough to ignore, just there. In the way he closed cabinet doors a little harder than necessary, in the way he scrolled on his phone at night, back turned to me, laughing at something in the family group chat he wouldn't show me. He didn't bring up Jason's loan again, not directly, but I could feel it sitting between us at the dinner table, in the bed, on the couch, while some mindless show played in the background. The first real crack came when his card got declined. We were grocery shopping, the normal kind of boring domestic moment that used to feel like a picture of us. We split the cart like we split most things. I grabbed vegetables and staples, he grabbed snacks and whatever new sauce he wanted to try. At the checkout, he pulled out the card, the one with my name on it that he'd been using for years like it was his. Declined. He frowned, tried again. Declined. The cashier glanced at us with that tight, polite smile that says she's seen this 1,000 times and it's never not awkward. Must be a glitch, he muttered. I knew it wasn't. We paid with my other card. On the drive home, he went very quiet, the kind of quiet that means a storm is forming. He walked into my office, and held the card up like a piece of evidence. My card doesn't work, he said. What did you do? I canceled it, I replied, not looking away from my laptop. You can't just cancel my card. It wasn't your card, I said. It was mine. You were an authorized user. You're not anymore. His voice went up a notch. How am I supposed to pay for things? With your income, I said. That's how adults do it. So that's it? He demanded. You go on one trip without me, and suddenly I'm cut off? I set my hands flat on the desk, forcing myself to stay calm. You're not cut off from me. You're cut off from using my money for your family's emergencies. His eyes flared. We're a team, Marissa. Are we? I asked quietly. Because teams don't put one player second and then expect her to pay for the whole stadium. You're punishing me, he said. You're punishing my family. No, I said, feeling my heart race, but keeping my voice measured. I'm setting boundaries. You told me I come second. I'm just aligning my behavior with that reality. He scoffed. You're twisting my words. I'm repeating them, I said. You made it very clear. They come first. So now they can be first in line to fix their own problems. He stared at me for a long moment, jaw clenched, like he was deciding whether to keep arguing or walk away. In the end, he did both, turned, slammed the door a little too hard behind him, and walked out of the apartment altogether. That night, he came back late, smelling like his dad's cologne and his mom's cooking. I knew he'd been over there, venting, letting them paint me as the villain. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to him move around in the dark, the weight of his body dipping the mattress when he finally lay down. He didn't reach for me, and I didn't reach for him. Days turned into weeks. The apartment became a shared space rather than a home. We spoke when we had to, about the dog we didn't have, about kids we hadn't decided on, about errands, logistics, schedules, but not about the thing that mattered. I leaned harder into my own life. My woodworking class became my favorite night of the week. There was something satisfying about taking rough, uneven boards and turning them into something solid, something mine. The softball league filled my Saturdays with laughter and sunburns and dirt on my knees. People there knew nothing about Jason's bad decisions, or Brianna's rent, or his mom's expectations. They just knew me as Marissa, the woman who could hit a decent line drive and made everyone laugh in the dugout. His family didn't like my new independence. The first Sunday I skipped dinner, Daniel texted from his parents' house. You're really not coming? No. I told you I had plans. You used to like coming over. I used to like a lot of things. His mom called later that night. I let it ring. She left a voicemail saying she missed me and, we've always treated you like one of our own, which sounded less like affection and more like a reminder of the debt they thought I owed them. It escalated slowly. Snide comments from Brianna over text. Jason sending half-hearted messages like, you know I'm good for it, right? Whenever money came up in conversation. Daniel asking how much I was putting into savings now, like it was an accusation. He caught me one evening, standing in the doorway of my office, arms crossed. Is this really how you want things to be? He asked. I looked up from my laptop. Honest things? Yes. You're freezing everyone out. I'm done being responsible for everyone else's feelings while they treat mine like an afterthought, I said. If that feels like being frozen out, maybe they should think about why. So you just don't care if something bad happens? He challenged. To them? To Jason? To my parents? I hesitated. That was the hook, right there. The one they always hung everything on. If you don't give us what we want, whatever happens is on you. I care, I said finally, but not enough to drown with them. He shook his head like I was speaking another language. That's not how family works. Maybe not in yours, I said softly, but in mine, adults are responsible for their own messes. He didn't reply, just walked away, shoulders stiff, leaving his words hanging in the air like a curse. The weeks blurred, work, classes, softball, quiet dinners at home. We shared a bed, but not a life. Every now and then, he'd get a call from one of them, and his voice would drop, urgent and low. Yeah, okay, I'll see what I can do. I pretended not to hear. One night, I woke up to the sound of his phone buzzing on the nightstand. He grabbed it fast, whispering, "Hello?" The room was dark, but the blue glow of the screen lit up his face. I could see the lines of worry etched into it. "What? When?" he said, sitting upright. "Are you serious?" My stomach dropped. He swung his legs off the bed and stood up, pacing. "How much?" he asked. I felt my pulse start to race. How much? There it was again. Okay, I'm coming, he said. Just lock the doors. I'll be there in 15. He hung up and started yanking on his jeans, fumbling with the zipper. What happened? I asked, my voice hoarse with sleep but laced with dread. He froze, just for a second, like he'd forgotten I was there. It's Jason, he said, not looking at me. He's in trouble. Rent trouble? I asked. Car trouble? Business opportunity trouble? He swallowed. Worse. He grabbed his hoodie and keys. I pushed myself up on my elbows. Daniel, what kind of trouble? He hesitated at the door, hand on the knob. For the first time in a long time, he looked scared. The kind, he said slowly, you can't just talk your way out of. Then he was gone, the door slamming shut behind him. I sat in the dark, heart pounding, staring at the empty doorway. Part of me wanted to chase him down, to ask questions, to insert myself back into the role of fixer, solver, rescuer. But the other part, the part that had been quietly rebuilding itself, stayed very, very still. I lay back down, staring at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the fridge, the distant sound of a car passing outside, the echo of Daniel's words. The kind of trouble you can't talk your way out of. I didn't know it yet, but that night would be the start of the end. Not just for Jason, not just for Daniel's family. For us. Because there's a certain kind of crisis that doesn't just expose who people are. It exposes what you are to them. And I was about to find out exactly where I ranked when the stakes were life and death. Daniel didn't come home until just after sunrise. I dozed off sometime around 5, but the sound of the front door creaking open jolted me awake. I sat up, heart pounding, listening to him moving around in the kitchen. Slow footsteps, muffled voices. Voices. I slipped out of bed and followed the sound. When I turned the corner, I stopped dead. His entire family was in our living room. His mom was crying into a tissue. His dad was pacing with his arms crossed. Brianna sat stiffly on the edge of the couch, and Jason looked like he'd been hit by a truck. His left eye was swollen shut. There was dried blood at the corner of his mouth. His shirt was torn, and he held his ribs like breathing hurt. Daniel looked at me helplessly, like I was supposed to see all this and instantly step into the role they needed me to play. Aren't you going to say something? His mom demanded through tears. I blinked slowly. Like what? Like how sorry you are, she snapped. Like how you're going to help. Daniel swallowed hard. Riss, they need us. There it was. Us. Funny how us only existed when someone needed money. I turned to Jason. What did you do? He flinched like I'd thrown something. I messed up. Okay? I messed up bad. Be specific, I said. Daniel rubbed his forehead. It's gambling. Casual gambling? I asked. Or the kind that involves men with brass knuckles? His mom let out a wounded sob. Why are you talking like that? He's hurt. I'm asking what happened, I said calmly, because whatever this is, it didn't come from nowhere. His dad stopped pacing long enough to sigh, saying the words as if they physically pained him. Jason owes some people money. How much? Nobody answered. I looked at Jason. How much? He stared at the floor. 35. 100? I asked. Daniel shook his head grimly. 1,000. I let the number sink in. 35,000. My stomach dropped, but not from shock, more from confirmation. Of course, this is where it was heading. This family didn't do problems halfway. Daniel stepped closer to me. They need help. These guys are serious. No, I said. Silence sucked the air out of the room. What do you mean, no? His mom shrieked. I mean, no, I repeated. We're not giving him $35,000. It's life or death, his dad barked. They said if he doesn't pay, then he shouldn't have gambled money he didn't have, I said. These are choices. Choices have consequences. Brianna jumped to her feet. You're unbelievable. He could die, Marissa. Maybe he should have thought about that before betting money he doesn't own. Daniel's head whipped toward me. Riss. No, I cut him off. I've spent years paying for every emergency this family creates. But this isn't an emergency. This is negligence. His mom rose from the couch, trembling with fury. How dare you? We treated you like family. No, I said, my voice cold. You treated me like a wallet. Daniel grabbed my arm. Please, please, Riss, we need to help him. Why? I asked. Why do we need to help when he has 2 parents, a sister, and a whole support network? Why am I the financial backbone of a family I didn't even choose? Because we're a couple, he snapped. We do things together. You told me I come second, I reminded him. So let your first priority handle this. His face went pale. His dad stepped forward, chest puffed out. What kind of woman abandons family in a crisis? The kind, I said evenly, who was told explicitly that she isn't part of the family. Daniel's mom gasped dramatically. Brianna muttered something under her breath. Jason groaned in pain. And then Daniel delivered the final blow. If you don't help, I'll leave. The room froze. Even his family seemed shocked he said it out loud. I stared at him for the long moment, then nodded. Okay. He blinked. What? You heard me, I said. If you want to leave, leave. He stared like he was waiting for the real answer to appear. The one where I back down, apologize, write the check, save the day. But that woman was gone. Brianna exploded. You selfish, heartless... Get out, I said, all of you. This is his home too, she shot back. I pointed calmly toward the door. His name isn't on the mortgage. Mine is. Now get out before I call the police. They shuffled out, dragging their broken, bleeding problems with them. Daniel lingered in the doorway, still stunned. You're choosing this? He whispered. I'm choosing me, I said. He left without another word. He didn't come home that night, or the next. The harassment begins. The peace lasted about a day. Then the campaign started. First, his dad showed up at my workplace. I don't know how he got past the front desk, but suddenly he was in the middle of the open office floor, screaming at me about being heartless and selfish and prideful. Security dragged him out while he shouted about karma and how I'd pay for what I'd done. My boss called me in afterward, face tense. What the hell just happened? I told him everything, the gambling, the pressure, the breakup. He sighed and told me to handle it, meaning make sure that Circus never comes back. I wished I could. Next came the phone calls. His mom called my parents, my sister, my cousins I hadn't spoken to in years, crying, telling them I refused to help in a life or death emergency, leaving out the part where her grown son owed $35,000 to dangerous criminals. My mom called me in a panic. She says you abandoned Daniel's family. Is that true? She left out the part where it's $35,000 of gambling debt, I replied. Long pause. Oh, my mom said. Then, good for you, baby. Don't let them bully you. Not everyone was so understanding. A few relatives sent passive-aggressive messages. I ignored them. Then someone keyed my car. Deep, deliberate scratches along the side. I filed a police report. I was 90% sure it was Jason, but I couldn't prove it. A week later, Brianna waited for me after my softball game. She blocked my path in the parking lot, eyes wild with fury. You know they beat him up again, right? She snapped. Broke 2 ribs this time. That's on him, I said, walking around her. She followed. This is on you. You could have prevented it. By writing a blank check? I asked. No thanks. You're a sociopath, Marissa. And you, I said, are enabling an addict. She swore at me until she ran out of breath, then stormed off. But the worst attack came anonymously. HR called me into a conference room. The manager looked deeply uncomfortable. We received a complaint, he said. Someone claims you made threatening comments about family members and displayed unstable behavior. I stared at him. That's completely fabricated. We have to investigate all complaints, he said apologetically. So I had to write a humiliating report explaining the breakup, the harassment, the gambling debt, all of it. My boss called me in afterward. This needs to stop, he said. I'm sympathetic, but if it affects the workplace again... I know, I said quietly. I'm handling it. So I started documenting everything. Every message, every voicemail, every incident, every witness. A file full of receipts. Then, after weeks of silence, Daniel finally called. We need to talk, he said. I said nothing. About us, he added, about fixing this. There's nothing to fix, I said. You made your choice. I made mine. I didn't mean what I said, he murmured, about you being second. Yes, I said softly, you did. And that's fine, but you don't get to have it both ways. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, Can we meet? Just talk, please. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Big mistake. He didn't meet me alone. He brought his mother. And I walked right into the ambush. The moment I stepped into the cafe and saw Daniel sitting beside his mother, I felt a physical click inside my chest, like a lock sliding shut. Any hope, any softness I still carried, evaporated. His mother didn't even pretend to smile. She leaned forward before I'd fully sat down, eyes sharp, voice cutting. You need to stop this nonsense and help us. I stood back up immediately. Daniel grabbed my wrist, not hard, but firm enough that it sent a spark of old hurt through me. Please, just listen. You asked to talk to me, I said. Not to get ambushed by your mother. I'm leaving. You're being unreasonable, his mother snapped. Reasonable? I asked, raising an eyebrow. Reasonable is not giving $35,000 to a grown man who still thinks Vegas odds are a retirement plan. Her face flushed crimson. He made a mistake. He made a series of choices, I corrected, none of which are mine to fix. We raised you, she hissed, fed you, welcomed you. I laughed, loudly, heads turned. You used me, I said. There's a difference. I walked out. Daniel followed me to the door. Riss, please. You told me I'm second, I said without turning back. I'm finally acting like it. And that was it. I blocked their numbers. Within a week, I got an envelope in the mail. Daniel had filed for the division of our shared assets. Not a divorce, we weren't married, but he wanted half the condo equity, half my retirement contributions during the years we lived together, and, in a surreal twist, compensation for financial abandonment. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped the papers. My lawyer, a woman named Asha, with the calm demeanor of someone who has seen every possible shade of human stupidity, skimmed the packet and snorted. They can't be serious, she said. Oh, they are, I said, very. She flipped a page. They're asking you to pay his legal fees too? And 10 grand for emotional distress. Asha shook her head. We're countering. This is ridiculous. The battle began. Emails, statements, financial documents, years of receipts. Asha built a case so airtight it could have floated in space. Meanwhile, Daniel's family spiraled. The collapse. Through mutual acquaintances, I learned the fallout. His parents had taken out a loan against their house. A balloon payment was looming, one they couldn't cover. Brianna's marriage was disintegrating because she pawned her wedding ring. Jason disappeared, left the state, allegedly, to avoid the people he owed money to. Daniel burned through his savings trying to help everyone, living out a twisted martyr fantasy. It was like watching dominoes fall. And somehow, they all blamed me. One night I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. Are you happy now? My parents are losing everything. My brother's gone. My sister's getting divorced. All because you wouldn't help. I took a screenshot and sent it to Asha. Didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. The courtroom showdown. The day of the hearing, Daniel showed up with an entourage. His parents, Brianna, 2 cousins I barely recognized. They glared at me like I was a villain stepping out of a movie. Asha leaned over. Relax. We have the truth. Daniel's lawyer started dramatically, claiming I had systematically isolated Daniel and financially exploited their generous family culture. Asha waited, let them build their little sandcastle, and then kicked it down. She pulled out a spreadsheet. 5 years, every loan, every emergency, every penny I'd paid. Total, just over $24,000. Not $1 repaid. Then she showed how I'd covered 70% of our shared expenses because Daniel's money kept disappearing into the black hole of his family's needs. Then came the credit card statements, like Exhibit A of financial addiction, cash advances, transfers, Zelle payments to his siblings, all using my line of credit. Then Asha played the final card, screenshots of the conversation where he said, My family comes first, you're second. The judge looked at Daniel, his lawyer opened his mouth, then shut it. His mom started sobbing in the back. He abandoned us. We fed her. We loved her. The judge lowered his glasses. Ma'am, you're not a party to this case. Be quiet or leave. She shut up. They argued for alimony. Denied. They argued for emotional damages. Denied. They argued I'd caused the breakup. Irrelevant. The judge looked exhausted. Unless you have evidence of abuse or illegal activity, the court is finished. Daniel's lawyer wilted. Final ruling. Condo will be sold. Equity split 50-50. Retirement contributions divided per guidelines. Each pays their own legal fees. No support. No contact required. Exactly what the law dictates. Exactly what was fair. They lost, and they knew it. Daniel's dad tried one more guilt trip. You're really going to let us lose everything? You took out loans for gambling debt, I said. That's on you. We treated you like family, he snarled. I smiled. No, you treated me like an ATM. Jason appeared then, pale, skittish, like a shadow. He must have snuck back into town. He shoved me, jaw clenched. You think you're better than us? I think I'm smarter. Asha stepped between us like a queen descending from a throne. Touch my client again, and we press charges. Security. Courthouse security surrounded him. He yelled threats as they dragged him away. I walked to my car, the sun warm on my face, the final thread snapping. The condo sold quickly. Market was good. After the mortgage, we each got about $85,000. Daniel needed every dollar. His parents' foreclosure was already in motion. I bought a 2-bedroom downtown. Modern kitchen, big balcony, my own space. No unexpected visits, no boxes of someone else's junk. I started dating someone new months later. A man with a stable job, a quiet demeanor, and a family that only called him for birthdays. And then one last message came through. Daniel had a new number. I hope you're happy. You destroyed my whole family because you wouldn't help in an emergency. For the first time in years, I didn't feel anger or guilt. I felt clarity. I typed, your family destroyed itself by treating people like resources instead of humans. I just stopped participating. Blocked the number. My therapist asked, do you feel guilty? I shook my head. No. Why not? Because I didn't cause their emergencies. I didn't create their debts. I didn't make their choices. I just stopped cleaning up after them. She smiled gently. That's not cruelty. That's self-respect. She was right. My revenge wasn't dramatic, wasn't violent, wasn't even intentional. It was simply stopping. Stopping the money. Stopping the rescues. Stopping the endless self-sacrifice. Stopping the version of me who lives second to everyone else. They called it abandonment. I call it freedom.